Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and today we're going to be reviewing One Piece Manga Chapter 1121, The Void Fortnight.
23.
Oh, 1123. I am so sorry. Sorry for the fake news. Okay, so please like and subscribe if you have not. Leave a comment below. Give your thoughts on this chapter. Give your thoughts on our review. We'd love to hear from you. I am Akainu Fanboy, and the other guy is Geboss. So, no! Because we have the Wano cover story coming back. So I'm depressed. It won't go away.
Yeah.
I thought it was over.
Well, speaking of over, it seems that Egghead's finally over.
Sad. See, that's a different type of sadness, though. So we see the aftermath, the Joy Boy hockey blast and everything. And we see basically all the Marines more or less KO'd too, which makes sense if it's going to take out the Gorosei.
I'm surprised that the Seraphim are still up.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Maybe the bubble protects them, or I don't know.
Yeah. And they're all good to go now, and I guess I could take some humble pie that I was wrong, and that I thought the Seraphim are going to be in play, and that. Let's see, what else did I get wrong? I think Lilith surviving, that was another thing I got wrong. And then I think that's it. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's more. Oh, wait, yeah, and I thought the I thought the Giants were going to make it out too, but it looks like they're going to make it out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured that they would have more to do with Usopp and Elbaf, so I'm glad that they didn't get taken out. But I also just thought that maybe the Seraphim weren't affected because they're machines technically, and it doesn't seem to affect technology, hockey really.
Yeah, and I'm kind of So,
but they're
I guess oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was just gonna say they're with the Marines now, because we were talking about whether or not they were going to. Bonnie was going to take control of them with her master command capabilities, but you got that wrong too.
Yeah, no, and I think I don't know. I'm going back and forth because I don't hate the Giants or anything, but I kind of feel like the good guys needed to take a more sacrifice considering the scale of what they were facing and everything, So. I wouldn't say it was like an ass pull with Emmett or anything, but it was just kind of like, I know we had Vegapunk and a lot of the other, Vegapunk models that were taken out too and everything. But I just kind of feel like the losses were, I get it, Vegapunk's the big guy. Losing him was a big deal, especially when the Straw Hats promised to get him off and he was taken out, killed, but it still kind of feels like there should have been some more losses on the good guy side a little bit, considering the scale of the force that came in, like all the Gorosei and Kizaru, Kaku, and Lucci, So, maybe just a minor critique there, And I'm not just trying to say it's because my theory, whatever, wasn't working out or anything. I'm just saying, I just kind of felt like there should have been more of a loss, I guess, That's all.
I always say that if there's more that the character can do in the story, it's best not to write him off. So that's how I see it. I think Oda has plans for everyone still.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just kind of feel like it cheapens the threat level a little bit for something that's going to potentially be the, last villain or last villain entity. And you can say Luffy's a Yonko now, which is true and everything, but Whitebeard was a Yonko too, and he lost a lot, you know what I mean?
But I mean,
and I just don't want it. Yeah, sorry.
No, you go ahead first.
No, yeah, and I just don't want it to be he's just gonna get a W on everything from here on out, Because, okay. There is the context of the add-in too. This wasn't a pure Luffy Straw Hats W because Vegapunk died, you know, right? And also they required a lot of help to get out of here.
Exactly.
You know?
Without Emmett, I don't think that they would have gotten away as cleanly as they did. So
yeah, or maybe they wouldn't have potentially, because it looks like Luffy timed out right here again, which shows that. And I know we were having concern that the timeout wasn't going to be there at Gear 5, but it looks like the timeout still exists for Gear 5, which is good. And so he would have been defenseless. I mean, you could say the Giants were there, but I don't think the Giants would have been able to fend off all the Gorosei, you know, for that long, you know. So I do kind of find that interesting with that whole thing where, I mean, and also, yeah, they required the help of the Giants with Shanks to get there too. And I don't think if the Giants were there, they would have been able to get out of here either, you know? And also Setsubamaru, Stussy, Vegapunk himself, right? There was a lot of help the Straw Hats had, you know, so...
I mean, you can say that about any arc, though. Like, they wouldn't have gotten out of Enies lobby without the Frankie family and Galley La. They wouldn't have beaten Doflamingo without all the Coliseum gladiators. So...
Yeah. And I just think, like, this is just a way for me to kind of minimize, I guess, my minor critique of, like, they didn't receive enough losses against a huge force and everything, you know? And I think, like, also some of the contextualization some people in the community have, where it's like, this was the complete Luffy defeating the world government at Egghead Island, you know, in a way, against this huge force, but they required a lot of help to get to this position too, you know, like, they were impressive and everything, but they were struggling for a while, you know, during this whole arc, and everything. So yeah, you know, obviously Big W, I don't want to take anything away from it or at all or anything like that. So, but it is good to see, like I said, like, Luffy still has drawbacks. Gear 5 isn't just a completely, like, broken thing and everything like that, you know?
Yeah. I will say one thing that I am kind of surprised about is that Kuma's still functional. I expected a big, like, sacrifice moment, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens because like, right now we have all the Giants, Bonnie, Lilith, Kuma, all these extra people with the Straw Hats right now, so I'll be interested to see how this leads into Elbaf, because that's where it seems like we're going next, if there's not a big like, in-between chapter. We might see that, like, you know how in between the arcs we get, like, what's happening around the world, although we kind of got that seeing everybody's reaction, but we might see how the world's preparing with all this new information.
Yeah, and there was one thing I thought was interesting in terms of an omission of who was seen here. We didn't see Kizaru. We see all the KO'd Vice Admirals, Seraphim. We don't see Kizaru in these panels. I don't know if that leads me to believe that he may not be KO'd. And you could say, like, well, what happened to the Gorosei? Like, they got deactivated, but they weren't, like, knocked out. But also they were, like, right close proximity with Emmett. While Kizaru is probably, like, off on a ship. And as we can see, like, you know, admirals are way step above vice admirals, you know, so we're not entirely sure, like, that he would have been KO'd. But I think it's kind of like, you know, if Oda wanted to show he's KO'd, he would have showed him in these panels if he's going to show, like, Doll and all the others, you know? So
but speaking of people we didn't get to see, we also didn't get to see Stussy or Lucci or Kaku on the island, or Sentomaru, really, because he's just kind of left by himself, surrounded by all the Marines that he betrayed. I don't know what's gonna happen with him, but yeah, I'm interested to see where the Stussy plotline goes, because it's kind of left ambiguous to what she chose to do.
Same with Lucci and Kaku.
Yeah.
The last thing we saw with Lucci was him being mortified and terrified of one of the Gorosei.
But I think...
and then Kaku was showing, like, positive feelings towards Dusty, too.
Yeah. So... yeah, I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. But yeah.
This Cypher Pull cover story. Let's go. Anyway, yeah. Part two.
Yeah, we need to see more of the old Cypher Pull. But anyway. Just talking about the chapter itself, I feel like we got a lot of explanation for stuff that we kind of already deduced, you know? Do you feel like it was kind of a waste of a chapter, or because I didn't
think it was necessary.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was necessary. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I just didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Oh, it was like, okay, here's how everything specifically timed out in terms of all the like when Vegapunk found out and when he recorded the message and everything. So but yeah, it's the one thing that we did learn was that Vegapunk said to I think it was Frankie and Sanji that were in the bubble car that he wanted the Straw Hats to find the One Piece. I think and I think it's because he recognized Luffy's fruit as Nika. And he knows all about the Void Century and Joy Boy and everything.
And I did think it was kind of interesting how Sanji, I don't know, I just like it. It's a good character moment for him where he's kind of like the thinker and the ponder in the crew sometimes, like the Mr. Prince thing, you know, where he thinks more deeply. I'd say him and Robin are like the deepest thinkers on the crew, you know? And so I did like how he was the one that wanted to kind of inquire and contemplate what Vegapunk was talking about and everything like that, you know? So I do like how, I don't know, just this whole arc in general, I did like how Oda utilized the Straw Hats to see the Straw Hats interacting as a crew and to see them have their character moments again, which wasn't present in Wano, you know? So I did appreciate that a lot. Even just little things like this really sell me home on this arc, you know?
Yeah. Which is wild because I looked it up before we started recording, and I think the whole Egghead arc was probably like 65-ish, between 60 and 70 chapters, which is pretty long in terms of One Piece, but I mean, compared to Wano, it told like such a more concise story, I feel.
Yeah.
Like I felt
totally.
Yeah.
It feels like way more was covered. And a lot more characters were developed and a lot more people had chances to shine. And it weaved everything together throughout the entirety of the story. More than like, I kind of felt like Wano was just creating something. It weaved some stuff together from the previously existing story, but it felt like it was just like primarily its own independent story, which didn't grow too much out of other arcs, to be honest. You know,
well,
you say they have to link to the
I wouldn't say that. You know? I wouldn't say that. I mean, they built up Wano throughout, like all the way from Punk Hazard to Dressrosa to Zoe to.
Sorry, yeah, I wanted to qualify it more like with that, like just. It was like trapped in the Yonko saga. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. You know what I mean? Like here, I kind of feel like it weaves Sabaody, and his lobby, you know, like the O'Hara flashback, Galley La, Alabasta, Marineford. You know, the stuff with Blackbeard. And then we have the Kid Shank stuff. And so it even incorporates some stuff from Wano here too. And we incorporates the Vinsmokes and Caesar Clown and Queen, right? And then the Warlords, you know. Well, I kind of feel like Wano was just creating its own story within the Yonko saga that had some connections here and there to the pre-existing story, but it just wasn't as like organically developed from the rest of the story, you know.
I just think there was too much in Wano.
Yeah,
and this was more.
And as a result,
yeah,
it's harder to weave stuff together when you have so many strings. You know what I mean? Like, like you can kind of throw in the Wipe Your Pirates and the Odin flashback, you know. But I guess in some ways, like I'm not saying it's BS or bad, because I did enjoy that part, but it just didn't seem as natural as some of the stuff in here. You know what I mean? Like Kaku and Lucci having like, you know, being disillusioned by the government perfectly makes sense, you know, and it just kind of flows naturally. And the Ohara stuff flows naturally into what the Gorosei do in Vegapunk's character motivations too, you know. And so that's what I mean. Like I'd say, like as a whole, I really enjoyed this arc a lot more because it just felt a lot more like One Piece, you know. And it felt, and sometimes it kind of felt like Wano was its own thing, you know.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like its own thing. It just feels like it's a natural outgrowth of the story.
Yeah, and I feel like I think what I saw from this arc was that there wasn't too much new introduced compared to like Wano. It's
exactly
it's paying off. Yeah. It's paying off a lot of stuff that was already built up through the series. So yeah, I enjoyed this arc. It's not, I don't think it's in my top 10, but it's up there.
It's easily in my top 10 for me. Yeah, it might be in my top 5 actually.
Yeah, I'd have to relook at my well, my top 3 are definitely not moving. But yeah, it might be in my top 10. I'd have to look.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess we start Elbaf then.
Yeah. So better put in buy Usopp stock now. For
yeah, I mean you could tell just with the last panel.
Yeah. Yeah. Onward to Elbaf.
No, Usopp needs some good shine.
Yeah, he really does. He hasn't gotten too much in the after the time skip, but
Wano he did nothing.
Yeah, he didn't do much.
And Brook did more to him, and I didn't even think Brook did much.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess we can kind of talk about our theories for Elbaf. Do you think my biggest thing is, do you think that Shanks is going to be there, or do you think he would have moved on at this point?
45% chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think potentially. I'll see how this will work, because we didn't see him die. I think Kid might get some shine in Elbaf as well.
I agree. I think he's going to be reincorporated into the story. I'm pretty bullish on that.
Yeah, and I would be down for a Kid redemption story.
I think that's going to happen too.
Yeah. Like Oda just shits on Kid for getting one shot by Shanks and then builds him back up. I think that would be good, and have us eating crow for our takes before.
Well, especially with the line, they were completely and entirely defeated. Something like that. You know, like that line is so brutal that it makes you think. It just creates this ecosystem for him to build himself back up. You know, especially where Luffy just seems like. I mean, I don't know if I would call it a critique. I mean, I go back and forth if I critique this or not, but it is objective, regardless. That Luffy's just climbing up W after W after W. With like his L's aren't being portrayed. Like he just defeated Kaido, and now he just embarrassed the whole world government. He didn't defeat an admiral. I do want to. That was one theory that a lot of people were proposing that didn't actually happen here. You know.
I mean, it can be debated, but. Whether or not he didn't knock him out, but he caused Kizaru to not want to fight anymore.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Yeah, and I think in that sense, yeah, you know, which is kind of like a moral W in a way, you know. But it wasn't like the frickin'. they both go all out. I mean, like in the sense, like they have that last final clash, and then he's clearly wide-eyed, and then everybody on the island's like, "Oh my gosh, Luffy defeated one of the 3 admirals, the Navy's greatest power, tell the world." You know, it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Like, in the same way, like Kaido, right? So that didn't end up happening. So it was just like a bunch of like little W's throughout this arc, which led to like forming a big W, basically. For him. But while you see Kid, he's completely down bad. So I hope Luffy gets some form of L before the end of the series, because I think it's gonna start getting a little obnoxious if he's just getting nothing but W's for like till the last part of the story, you know? Because I want some sense of challenge still, you know? Even though, like we did reiterate here, he had a ridiculous amount of help during this arc, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's only going to get bigger once the fleet plays into the final saga.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between a war and getting a W in an arc, like escaping, I guess, if that makes sense, you know? Because it's like a drip, drip, drip. Like you're about to fall, and then someone grabs your hand, right? While kind of with the war, you just have everybody there helping you. I think it's like a different type of help, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, like I love Egghead. Like I said, I think there were a couple parts I did like about this chapter, but I think most of it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Not saying it's bad, I just didn't think it was necessary. That's all.
Well, we can say that it's a better ending than Whole Cake.
I actually like the ending of Whole Cake, but that's just me.
I'm just frustrated in retrospect from it, because...
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Because nothing happened. Everyone got away scot-free, basically, except for, what was it, Yonji and Niji?
Yeah.
But,
that was kind of bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was more Lana's fault, not Whole Cake, so
yeah. But anyway, if Shanks is an Elbaf, I think that he might, I don't know, I think it might be too soon. Although we might learn about the potential Shanks twin theory there.
Which I don't want to be true, for the record,
Yeah. But I think it's going to be interesting, because I think Oda wants to do Elbaf as much as he wanted to do like Fishman Island and Wano. He's been setting it up for so long. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. But yeah, I don't have too many concrete theories about it though. All I know is that Usopp's gonna get some sort of power up.
Yeah. Yeah, more Void Century stuff, and weirdly enough, I think Weevil and Marco might somehow be incorporated into the story too.
Interesting. I completely forgot about Weevil. he was captured by Ryokugyu, right? Remember?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Green Bull. Yeah, he was. Yeah. It's like his way to be like, you know, the safe face after the whole Shanks thing.
Yeah,
that's basically what it was.
Yeah. So, I wonder if he could fit somehow into Elbaf, but I don't want it to be too jam-packed full of stuff, because potentially we could see the return of Big Mom. With Elbaf.
For sure.
Which I don't know how people would feel, but yeah.
No, definitely. All right, so anyways, leave your thoughts below on a review and the chapter. Did you think this chapter was necessary? At least like for the flashback part. So please like and subscribe if you are not, and we will have a Jujutsu Kaisen review and Tower God review coming out soon. And we will see you guys soon. Peace.
See ya.